Imagine pouring millions into engineering a flawless piece of hardware, manufacturing it at scale, and bringing it to market, only to realize you solved a problem no one actually has. It is a catastrophic waste of time and capital. To prevent this exact type of failure, organizations rely on a methodology known as design thinking. Human psychology defaults to observation, followed immediately by engineering. We see a surface-level issue and immediately want to build the final solution. But true innovation requires abandoning that technological starting line. We have to start with rigorous human empathy and work backward from there. In the mid-20th century, design theorist Horst Rittel coined the term wicked problem, a mutating, highly ambiguous issue that has no definitive true or false answer. Around the same time, economist and psychologist Herbert Simon argued for treating the design process as an analytical science with strict objectivity. Conversely, designer Victor Papanek launched a counter-movement demanding that design be driven by human ecology, deep empathy, and social responsibility. Over the following decades, institutions like Stanford University's D-School and the design firm IDEO synthesized these competing academic theories into a framework that mainstream businesses could apply. Today, modern design thinking exists entirely within the intersection of three specific pillars: what is desirable to humans, what is feasible with technology, and what is economically viable. The Stanford model maps out 5 stages: empathize, requiring physical immersion into a user's reality; define, synthesizing observations into a specific problem statement; ideate, a phase of boundless brainstorming; prototype, building the fastest physical model; finally, test, gathering unfiltered feedback from the end user. These 5 stages form the foundation of the discipline. But executing them as a strict straight-line checklist guarantees failure. The true nature of design thinking is a non-linear loop mapped by the UK Design Council's double diamond. Outward expanding angles represent divergent thinking, the intentional expansion of possibilities. Inward angles represent convergent thinking, the ruthless narrowing of options during definition and testing. Because of this structure, discovering a critical flaw during testing isn't a failure. Being forced backward to redefine the problem is a massive strategic and financial victory because it prevents you from building the wrong solution. Consider a concrete scenario: a school struggling with the financial drain of empty classrooms wasting electricity. Students tackle this by applying empathy and definition, physically sitting in the rooms to observe real human habits rather than guessing the cause. Moving into ideation and prototyping, they quickly wire together an Arduino board and a motion sensor. But during the test phase, they discover an unexpected failure. The sensor's timing code shuts off the lights when students sit perfectly still to read. Iterating backward to rewrite the code based on human reality, that students sit still to study, rather than hardware capability, is what actually solves the core problem. By maintaining the end user as the focal point, this approach has successfully improved massive systems, from public service delivery to complex healthcare interfaces. However, it carries persistent myths. It is not 5 rigid steps, it's not just for professional designers, and it doesn't guarantee success. Industry critics like designer Natasha Jen point out that popular models critically lack formal design critique, a rigorous peer evaluation standard embedded in traditional design disciplines. It's also a highly deficient tool for scaling operations, optimizing efficiency, or navigating strict regulatory constraints. Ultimately, design thinking is an exercise in institutional humility. It proves that admitting you don't know the answer is the only reliable way to uncover the right problem to solve.